Welcome to Yarns to Spin, the podcast where every story tells a song. Here you will find an eclectic collection of unusual stories, strange happenings, tall tales, folklore, and intriguing Americana. What is better than hearing a good story? Listening to the song that goes along with it. Yarns to Spin presents The Night Sputnik Defeated Jim Crow. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. This well-known line begins Charles Dickens' historical book, A Tale of Two Cities. The book details the extreme societal contradictions of the mid-1800s in London and Paris. That same line could also be used to describe Memphis, Tennessee in the 1960s. Memphis in the 60s was a time of change. Significant social, cultural, and political change affected everyday life in the city. It was the spring of hope, as well as the winter of despair. Many people were living the American dream. The city was growing, but there was also deep division. The city saw protest, strikes, and unrest over civil rights. Memphis was segregated, and Jim Crow laws hung over the city like an insidious storm cloud. On a brighter side, however, Memphis was a major hub for music. Elvis, Johnny Cash, and Jerry Lee Lewis all recorded their hits in Sun Studio there. Soul music was also getting its start, with the likes of Booker T and Otis Redding. Memphis in that day also had a vibrant and dynamic professional wrestling scene with a passionate fan base. Ellis Auditorium in downtown Memphis was the main venue for wrestling events. It was there that a mix of fans would eagerly fill the hall and cheer on their favorite wrestlers. Wrestling in Memphis was not just a sport. It was a major part of local culture. And so it is there, in Ellis Auditorium, that our story and the song you will soon hear really begins. Somewhere high up in the balcony, you would have found a young fan. For now, let's call him Jimmy. Jimmy had found a local hero, someone that resonated with him, someone that was a maverick, a rebel, flamboyant, out of this world and larger than life. That someone, at least for a few hours, would take Jimmy away from his everyday life and the dilemmas of growing up in the city of Memphis during the 60s. Jimmy was there to see and cheer on the one, the only, Sputnik Monroe.
Way back in Memphis on a Monday night, folks would pack the halls, watch the wrestlers fight. Had to sit way back, not on the front row. He was larger than life, my hero. Sputnik Monroe. Sputnik Monroe. He wore a purple cape, a diamond-studded cane. He was way out there, that's how it got his name. He never saw color, just the what was alright. He never ever backed down from a fight. Sputnik Monroe. Sputnik Monroe. I'm a piece of twisted steel. You see my Cadillac parked down down on beer. Got a case of cold beer I'm gonna pass around. I'm warming up for the big showdown. Sputnik, Sputnik Monroe. Sputnik, Sputnik Monroe. I was there that night when they brought the house down. That was the night he stood his ground. He said, I ain't fighting, there'll be no show to law you in the back or in the front row. Sputnik, Sputnik Monroe. Sputnik, Sputnik Monroe. Defeated Jim Crow. Go, 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 Sputnik, go. Go, Sputnik, go. Go, Sputnik, go. Go. Oh, yeah.
As mentioned earlier, Memphis, Tennessee in the 1960s had a dynamic and exciting wrestling scene. Ellis Auditorium served as a central hub for thrilling matches and colorful, larger-than-life personalities. It featured a roster of charismatic characters who often became local legends. There was Jerry the King Lawler, Rocky Smith, Mephisto and Dante, Billy Boy Hines, and Bad Boy, to name a few. But without a doubt, Sputnik Monroe was at the top of the list. He was a major draw in Memphis, and at one point was drawing over 13,000 fans at the gate. He was born Roscoe Monroe Brumbaugh, served in World War II, and started wrestling on the carnival circuit. He was wrestling as Rocky Monroe, but in 1957, a female fan called him a Sputnik, and the name stuck. He became known as Sputnik Monroe. Sputnik was flamboyant. He wore a purple gown and carried a diamond-tipped cane. He openly socialized with blacks, and it was said that he would fill the trunk of his Cadillac with beer and drive through the black neighborhoods, passing out cans of beer and promoting his matches. As a result, his popularity with the Memphis black community was tremendous. He often had run-ins with the local police and would be arrested for vague and trumped-up charges. These incidents would only add to his local fame, and he soon became a huge draw in the wrestling community. During this time in Memphis, segregation was commonplace, and Jim Crow laws were firmly in place, including wrestling venues such as Ellis Auditorium. The floor seats were for whites only, and the balconies would be packed with black patrons, with many fans unable to even get seats. Because of his popularity, Sputnik Monroe decided to challenge racial segregation and take a stand against it. He refused to perform unless all people, regardless of race, were allowed to sit in any seat in the Ellis Auditorium. Since he was one of the largest draws in Memphis, his strategy worked, though he was risking his career. Promoters soon gave in and started desegregating his matches. This caught on with other promoters, and it spread to other sporting events as well as local music and club scenes. As a result, Sputnik is remembered for his impact on the civil rights movement and the fight for racial equality. His iconic stand in Ellis Auditorium is now remembered as the night Sputnik Monroe defeated Jim Crow. Sputnik died in his sleep on November the 3rd, 2006. He was 77. As our story of Sputnik draws to a close, you might be wondering, what about Jimmy, the young boy featured in the song you just heard? In today's world, heroes are hard to come by. Would Sputnik still be Jimmy's hero today? I think we know that answer. If asked, Jimmy would simply say, "Go, Sputnik, go."
Sputnik Monroe showing that profile, a battered visage if I've ever seen one.